Hello, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to our second part of day two of the Philippine SME Business Expo virtual edition. As we were talking about this morning and yesterday, the the fourth industrial revolution does not stop just by big industries, but also small and medium-sized enterprises are being effective and need to transform as well digitally. And I'm very, very happy to have our guest today here. He is the founder of Mercato Central. His name is RJ Ledesma. He is a pioneer, a man of many hats, uh, highly creative, highly agile, I would say. And please give him a virtual welcome, RJ Ledesma.
Thank
Hello,
you so much,
RJ.
David. Thanks for having me on the show. I really, really appreciate it. Sorry, I was having a late lunch before waiting to come online. So again, magandang umaga. Magandang hapon po sa lahat po na nandito ngayon sa ating 10th Philippine SME Business Expo and Conference. I'm looking forward to enjoying this session with you guys. And David, before we even begin the session, I would like to invite all the micro and small food entrepreneurs who would like to start out their business. Just a couple of things, and I'll be discussing this in the meat of our discussion later on. If you're looking to restart your business in the new normal and you want to start off your concept with Mercato Central, as you know, David, Mercato Central is a small food business incubator. We are more than happy to invite you to be parts of our market. We are opening right now. We're opening Mercato Central in a BGC, also in SM Mall of Asia. We're opening very soon in Sky Ranch, in Robinson's Ermita, and in several other locations. You are more than welcome to join and be part of our markets. And what you have to have is a unique and innovative food product. And I'll tell you a bit more about that later on. Secondly, David, Mercato is opening up very soon a cloud kitchen. And I think that's something you might want to discuss actually. So if you're a small food vendor looking to scale your business and you know what, you want the benefit of having marketing, delivery, even a commissary where you can work out from so that all you worry about is producing the food and somebody else worries about the rest, then you can come to us. We have a cloud kitchen coming up very soon. And last but not the least, we're working together on a Mercato app, which will be the Mercato Marketplace for small food entrepreneurs. That is an app that we're developing together with Multisys. Multisys is it's the technology company of the year at the Asia CEO Awards. I'm working together with Dave Almirol, who just recently won the Outstanding Young Man in Technology. We're developing an app to help small food entrepreneurs grow their businesses. So again, for all those different things, if you're a small food entrepreneur, you're close to my heart. We're happy to help you grow your company.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, RJ. I mean, that gives us quite an overview already of what you have been doing. I mean, your organization in terms of helping micro food entrepreneurs. But maybe you gave a bit of a summary of all these things that you are doing. But maybe you can tell us a little bit on how did you get there? Because of course, we would like to know like what were the challenges your organization, as you mentioned, Mercato Central. You see the company as an incubator that helps small micro food entrepreneurs, and basically when you see an opportunity there to really give them a platform to grow in the ecosystem that your organization has created over the many years, right? So
Great,
can you
great.
tell us a little bit? Yeah, can you tell us a little bit of what were the pain points? What did you see? Where were the micro food entrepreneurs suffering, and what have you done
Great.
to help?
So I'll take a step back, no, and this
Yeah.
feels like one of the lectures which I give on the entrepreneurial mindset, and I think that it'll be very demonstrative if I explain how I think about entrepreneurship and how I put together Mercato and how we pivoted the Mercato business model several times to come up with what it is today. I think it also helped a lot of the entrepreneurs listening to us here right now. Before everything else, I just like to congratulate David Abrinilia. Congratulations on his recent engagement to the love of his life. I'm looking forward to hosting your wedding celebration as well, your wedding reception celebration. You can't not have me. And at the same time, if you're enjoying our conversation here right now with myself, no, please feel free to tag me online. That's RJ Ledesma on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. And if you want to join Mercato Central as a food vendor, again, please just visit the Mercato Central Facebook page. Now, David, you got the word right, pain points, right? And that's really how we all envision businesses. And I often tell people, as a mentor for Go Negosyo, usually the first question that many entrepreneurs ask us when we're mentoring, they ask me, for example, "Sir, anong magandang negosyong itayo? What is a good business to put up?" And when they ask me that, that is usually followed up by another question where they say, "Ay, sir, magaling, malakas ka ngayon yung negosyo ng milk tea. Yung kapitbahay ko, pwede ko bang gayahin yung negosyo yan? Can I copy that business?" Very often Filipinos suffer from the sort of Me Too mentality, right? So, they see a successful business and then they want to copy it at once. And I tell them, you know what? If you copy another business that is probably near yours, let's say that you copy a milk tea business and there are already 5 milk tea businesses in that area. Do you think your business will do much better? No. You're going to suffer marginal returns on the business because there's already a lot of competition around you. And if you enter, you're not going to get more pie out of that one. No? In fact, you might even do worse than them. But more importantly, how long will your success be? Your success will only be as long as until another person puts up another milk tea business beside you at a cheaper price or with superior product. So we tell them, maybe the question to ask yourself is not what is a good business to put up, but rather to ask yourself the question, which we know is the same question that many tech startups get asked when they are approached by venture capitalists or when they make a pitch to investors. The first question that they ask them, the investors will ask them is that, what pain point are you trying to solve, right? And we ask us, if for example, if you came to me and asked me, okay, sir, anong magandang negosyong itayo na or franchise kunin? Kukuha ko ng milk tea franchise. Kung punong-puno ng milk tea franchise na yung lugar ninyo, bakit ka pa kukuha ng milk tea franchise, di ba? But what if you did a good observation of your area and you found out that, okay, there are so many milk tea franchises, but what we're lacking is, for example, maybe an LPG franchise. Why LPG? Because right now everybody's cooking at home, right? So, and then they all need LPG more than ever. So instead of getting a fancy looking franchise of a milk tea, maybe if you get a very simple looking but LPG franchise, it might be more lucrative and sustainable for you because you're solving a problem in your community. So that's the entrepreneurial mindset. Basically, you're solving a pain point. And doesn't matter. And I often tell people that the difference between, for entrepreneurs is this one. Whether times are good or whether times are bad, David, there's no value judgment to us. At times can be good or times can be bad. What we are focused on is what is the opportunity, whether times are good or whether times are bad. So for example, if I wear my entrepreneurial lens, right, that's my lens of opportunity. For example, right now, there is a pandemic, so there's social distancing, there is GCQ, there's a disruption in the supply chain. It's a problem. But do I look at it as a problem or do I see it through my lens of opportunity? With social distancing, what's the opportunity in business here? When there is GCQ, what is the opportunity in business here? When there is a supply chain problem, what is the opportunity in business here? So that's how I look at business, right? Through an entrepreneurial mindset where you solve pain points. What was the original pain point when we put up Mercato Central? My original pain point was that, I was a media, I'm in the media, and as media, I often got sent to different countries to write about them. And when tour organizers would bring us to these other countries, the first place that the tour organizers would bring us to was more often than not to the food markets, particularly in Asia, the night food markets, right? So to Singapore, in Taiwan, there's Shilin. In Singapore, there's Lau Pasat, di ba? In Thailand, there's Chatuchak. And I was wondering, it was an irritation for me, irritation which led to an inspiration. Sabi ko, why are there so many of these food markets in these neighboring Asian countries? We sort of have the similar lifestyle, similar demographics. Mm-hmm. But here in the Philippines, what makes it even more a more promising idea is that we are aflush with BPO employees at night, right? At 11 p.m. is their lunch time. And they might have a budget of 120, 150 pesos for lunch. What would they rather eat? Would they rather eat convenience store fried chicken or would they rather eat a fresh, authentic, home-cooked meal, right? So that became our first inspiration. Our inspiration really was a pain point. The pain point was to see how could we address the needs of our late night eaters here in the Philippines. But more than that, when we took the inspiration from a business model that was being used in another country, which were the Asian countries. So our first business model was the night food market. That's the first model. Then you have to pivot again. When did we realize that we needed to pivot the business model? In about 2016, 2017, came the emergence of all these different food parks. In fact, during the time, there was an explosion of food parks, almost 100 across the country. And these food parks leveraged on a pain point people had with Mercato. What is the pain point with Mercato? We like the sort of variety and atmosphere which Mercato brings, but it's so far from me. It's only in one location. Why don't I replicate what Mercato does in my place, right? So people started opening up food parks in their own places. Diba? So it's like 1 versus 100. What can I do? How could I still survive with all these food parks opening up all over the place? So we had to re-examine our business model and realize what did people like about us and why do people still go to us. And we realized that the reason that people go to us was that they liked us for our good curation. We selected people very, very well to join the market. Number two, the vendors also liked us because it was sort of like a fast track way for them to be known, because if we curated very well, people want to go to us because the food is good, and then they get popular as a result of the market. They don't get popular in other places, but they get popular here. And they get good value for money when they come to our place. They get good value for money for the food. So we realized that people are really going to us to sort of learn, to fast track, to get a good reputation. And so the second pivot we realized is that we had to examine what were we? Were we just a food market? No, we realized that the business model that we had to do was we were really a small food business incubator. And the concept of an incubator did not really, because I do a show called Bright Ideas on Bloomberg, no? On One News right now, if you look at the tech industry, which is the industry that I was looking at, that many apps start off life in an incubator, like a tech incubator, right? Because sometimes you have a good idea, but you're not a programmer, you're not a software developer person, but you have a good idea because it's a pain point that you're trying to solve. So you have an app in mind, but you need help. Can somebody help you with finance? Can somebody help you with operations? Can somebody help you with software development, with financing, with HR? Then you go to an incubator. And that's what I said Mercato had to evolve into. From an outdoor food market, our better business model be to become a small food business incubator. And in that incubator, it's like when you join, you can come in from ideation all the way to execution, all the way to scale. So we sort of complete the picture of a business model and get that innovation from another industry. So at the start, we created a Mercato Academy, which pre-pandemic was offline. During pandemic is now, we're trying to recreate it online, where we can teach people who want to become food vendors to join the market, right? To learn first, and then they can join the market. And then when they join the market right now, the model is we have an offline market which they can join, and our current offline markets are safe, socially distanced, and had to pass through IATF protocols. So that's really the pivot that we had to make during this crisis. From an offline model, we shut down, but we had to pivot again and create an offline, an offline model again that worked during the crisis. And we have to create online models right now. That's why we have the app, so that we can also help vendors scale up through the app, right? And then aside from the app, we're also developing cloud kitchens. So now the small food vendor, from ideation, from training the Mercato Academy, from being in the offline market, can go into our cloud kitchen and distribute their products through there. So it's a complete scale from ideation up to execution. So it evolved from a outdoor food market to a small food business to a food business incubator. And from a food business incubator, it really became a model now, a complete sort of e-commerce model, where we have to integrate e-commerce models there and cloud kitchen models to be a full small food business incubator.
Wow, wonderful, RJ. That's a big transformation happening, so to say, from a food night market to, like you said, incubation, cloud kitchen now, your own app that you're developing. You mentioned a while ago e-commerce, right? So I'm wondering, because what I've seen also is that all of a sudden Grab, for example, onboarded home restaurants, for example, and then also I see now restaurants selling frozen food also through e-commerce website. What do you think of this transformation now of restaurants and so forth also being part now of the e-commerce phase?
No, I think it's just an acceleration of what was bound to happen. There was a joke that was going on in the midst of the pandemic. What caused the digital transformation of your company? Was it your CEO or your CIO, Chief Information Officer, or COVID? It was COVID, right? So everybody was accelerated. restaurants, not only restaurants, even tutorial centers or service-oriented centers, people who didn't even think that they needed to do e-commerce or digital transformation had to move in that direction. GCash quadrupled the number of its clients as well as a result of this crisis. So, I mean, it's necessary that everybody starts to go online, but it's the adaptation and the agility to go online now which matters. It doesn't mean that just because you put your products online, if you're a small food business entrepreneur, that it's going to work, right? Because we saw that there were so many people who, in the midst of the crisis, made their own ube cheese pandesals, made their own sushi bakes, made whatever else, went online, sold at the peak of the pandemic, but all of a sudden things started to adjust again, and they left the business, right? And then the
Yeah, I
restaurants,
remember. Yeah.
who knew the business model, are still there because they were there for the longer haul. But it's a matter for them to adjust a sort of what their business models are. If you're able to adjust, like the restaurants go, okay, some fine dining never went online, but they had to, so they would just carry maybe best sellers, diba? What's easiest to package and sell online, right? That's what you want to be able to do, right? And even for the products that you sell online, no, the basic principle still works, right? What makes your food unique and innovative versus other people who bring the food online? And it goes down to that one. I often tell people in my talk about entrepreneurship in the ways to grow in your business. Again, after solving what pain point are you trying to solve when it comes to food, it still goes back to the idea of what makes your food different. So I often tell people, what's the first thing, diba? What pain point are you trying to solve? Number two, what makes your product unique and innovative? And number three, what is your secret sauce? And that's the basic formula for all the food. Meaning that, okay, if you look at KFC, what does it solve? The pain point that KFC tries to solve is the pain point of hunger, right? You want fast food, you want fried chicken fast food, so you go to KFC. But what makes it unique and innovative that you only eat there? Two things, diba? It's 11 secret herbs and spices, and their gravy, right? You can only find it over there. And that's why you would probably choose to eat in KFC versus other places, because of its unique sauce and gravy and its unique herbs and spices. Same way that if you get thirsty, which is a pain point, you take Coca-Cola versus other drinks because you like the unique formulation that Coke has. Now, if you were to take that online, why would somebody choose your product over another product? Why would I choose your ube cheese pandesal versus somebody else's ube cheese pandesal, or somebody's sushi bake versus somebody else's sushi bake, right? What makes it unique and different versus other products online that only you can do? And I call that the secret sauce. Secret sauce can be, are you somebody who's a master of a technique that nobody else can do? Are you somebody who's got availability to certain sets of ingredients that only you have, right? Like it can be based on the province that you're from, or imported ingredients that only you can get. Let's say, why will you eat, Chef Sao del Rosario, famous Pampanga chef, who's now got a place in Poblacion. He makes buko pie, but it's called buko pie. It's a very social buko pie because of the quality of how he's able to make that buko pie. It's a really, really good buko pie. So you will go for that, right? That's why you want to go there, because, I mean, you'll make pains to order that buko pie and you're willing to pay for that buko pie versus other buko pies because there's something that makes it stand out. And that's what you want online. That if it's just another, recently I just saw Chef Carlo Miguel coming out with his Beyond Meat burger. It's a vegetarian burger, but it's umami. It's really, really good. Tastes like the real thing. I would go for that one because there's a sort of there's a skill set from the chef. It's got testimonial behind. It's really good. So that's where you want to go, right? And that's how you make it online. But if you just put any regular potaje online, any regular food online, what's going to make it stand out? It's not going to stand out. It's not going to stay there long.
So it's really knowing exactly what makes you stand out, and then being able to, I guess, even more important, being able to communicate it well, right? That's really where the creativity comes in, to not just realizing and understanding what your secret sauce is, what the quality is, and so forth, but knowing how to communicate it well.
Exactly.
Thank you so much, RJ. I mean, these are the really, really great insights, from your own learnings and experience, from your other entrepreneurs, that I think a lot of entrepreneurs here can get a takeaway from
and can relate to, and they should be able
and
to
can
relate to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So another question I have is, like, what technological changes have you noticed happening around the food and restaurant industry that are reshaping the way they are transacting with consumers?
Well, I guess everybody right now really has to have an e-commerce component. You're dead if you don't. And e-commerce is number one. That you have to be on a platform. Either create your own platform, or you join a platform. Don't be hostage just to one platform. I mean, if you join any of the platforms, join all, but also create your own if you can. And of course,
Mhm.
you also have to have your own. You have to also have your own. Uh, Make sure that create your own logistics. I guess nowadays, create your own logistics if you can, because logistics right now is the name of the game. Whether it's whether it's the large delivery aggregators or food and delivery aggregators, or you find your own, you outsource, or you create your own. You have to have that one as well, and you also have to have your own payment systems as well. So make sure that you're available everywhere right now. It's just that's just the name of the game. You have to be on all platforms, whatever you do it, wherever you are, if whether it's on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, you're all there, and you're not just communicating the product. I mean, like they said, it's social media. It's not digital media. So it means telling the story of your food, showing just more than just the menu of the food, but sharing the lifestyle behind your food. Um, you have to be there in the different e-commerce platforms, whether you're using Gcash or the other payment platforms, or what have you over there. And you also have to be able to deliver the products. I mean, those are the three key things that you have to be in right now, whether you like it or not. It's not easy at the start, right? And you're going to make some mistakes. That's fine, but you have to make them, right? It's not an
Mhm.
option. You have to make them so that we can move forward with doing business in the new normal. Kumaga, it's just that this is the new norm, right? So just get used to the norm.
Exactly. I mean, we're still talking about the new normal, but this is the normal now. I think
Mm-hmm.
also one thing I noticed with a lot of entrepreneurs here is that those ones that are still believing that we will go back, like they were always wishing still, like when do we go back to normal? That's not anymore an option actually. That we are
Exactly,
already in
exactly.
the
I
normal.
mean, it's just the acceptance that this is how it was quicker than we thought. So we just accept it, right? And then we just move on.
Exactly.
I
Yeah.
got this very good that piece of advice, David, in one of the shows that I was hosting, and I spoke with Bong Fadolion, who is the president of Phoenix Petroleum, and he gave me some really good advice at the height of the pandemic. And I remember very well what he told me. He said, "RJ, you have to try to open your business even in the midst of the ECQ, right?" He said, "How try to open my business in the midst of the ECQ?" And I was in a conundrum because, of course, at that time, right, we weren't allowed to open up the market. We were a place of mass gathering, but he was saying, "You open up your market, you try your best." And why did I have to try my best to open up the market in the midst of this pandemic? Because he said, "RJ, you know what? You have to make your mistakes right now. You have to make your small failures on the way. You have to condition yourself to do business, because this is how it's going to be like. It can't be that uh, when it was pandemic, nagsara ka ng tindahan, and then when the pandemic is over and things are back to normal, nagbukas ka ng tindahan ulit. No, the world is totally different already, di ba? It's two different worlds. And in between that time, you must be like an athlete, conditioning your body and your mind to prepare for that new normal. So when things open up again, you're out and running, instead of when things open up again, madadapa ka na lang at di ka na makakahabol, di ba? And I was glad he gave me
I,
that advice, because in the midst of this pandemic, we had to make so many mistakes. We had to make so many failures to learn how to do business right now in the new normal.
I can so relate with you, RJ, because also our business is in exhibitions. We live basically from face to face interactions and large gatherings. And we see until
Exactly.
today that, I mean, in the Philippines, there's only like less than a handful that are doing exhibitions. And I'm one of the first ones, I could say now, that put up a virtual exhibition, and connecting people and businesses together. But we also, just the same way how you said, we really have to look at the core function of your business. Like, what is it really about? Is it really renting a venue and leasing out booth spaces, or is there more behind it? Which is basically, how do we
Exactly.
connect businesses and people? And this doesn't have to stop. There are ways now virtually, and I think what I want to share with everybody is really the importance of embracing technology right now. Even if you have to do your learning mistakes right now in terms of how to use them, how to utilize them, and how to bring them to your advantage.
Sorry, David. It was coming in and
Yeah,
out the signal. But anyway,
no
I
problem.
want to add.
Yeah.
I want to add just to what you said earlier on, if you don't mind. Yeah, I like what you said, that you really have to look at the essence of what you were doing, and you were not about exhibitions, but rather what you were about was bringing together people for for knowledge exchange. That's sort of what the exhibit is like, right? And for ourselves, we had to do the same thing. I recall an example being given by Professor Jay Bernardo of the Ateneo School of Entrepreneurship. He's one of our a board of directors in Mercato USA. There was a in Germany, there was a company that was doing that did live productions, right? And of course, when the crisis happened and everything closed down, they said, "Oh, we have no business to do." So they had to look at what was their brand essence, and they realized that their brand essence was not so much live stage production, but really carpentry, building stages. So they transformed their business from building stages to creating work from home furniture. But people could use in the house because that was their expertise, right? And like for me, I realized that my brand essence was not so much the marketplace, but rather we were a small food business incubator. And that meant that we didn't have to do that outdoor or offline. We could also do that online. But then we take it in a different. We started realizing, okay, let's embrace that we are small food incubators. What else can we do? So we started seeing how can we develop again offline models that work during this pandemic. What are the online mods which we can develop, like the Mercato app that we can do? What are the other mods we can do? That's where the cloud kitchen idea started to emerge as well. So these things started to emerge as a result of when you look at what your brand essence is and you understand what you do, then sometimes it directs where you take your business, and then you change your business model around that, around your brand essence.
Wonderful, RJ. Also, like talked with one common friend of Wilson Lee Flores,
Mhm.
the writer. He was also sharing to me yesterday that what he saw, like, because he owns this bakery, this oldest
That's right.
bakery in Quezon City, and he was very surprised that during the pandemic, he really like asked his chef and everyone, like, what else can we do, creatively, and he wanted to have some extra cakes and so forth, and then all of a sudden, all of these new products were selling so fast. And he was just wondering, like, why did you not do that before? And then he just told him, because you never asked. So it's also in terms of like the pandemic, all of a sudden the spark of creativity is coming up, and the need of like, what else can we do? What can we change? And so forth. Where you start thinking outside the box, and you come up with new things that you have never thought before. And another observation also that he said is that during the pandemic, that this is also the time for a great equalizer, where small businesses
That's right.
can move fast, right? So do you agree that speed is also the name of the game right now? Like, how fast can you transform compared to big companies that might have big cash reserves, but they are quite conservative in acting, and they're kind of like waiting it out?
Yeah, I agree that speed and agility are key, but it's also understanding the sustainability of what you're able to do right now. I mean, just because that's what I call opportunistic entrepreneurship, which is okay. I have no value judgment based on opportunistic entrepreneurship. It just means, like, for example, in the midst of the crisis, you started selling overpriced face masks, right? Or
Yeah.
face shields, or even gloves at the time, because there was a mismatch in supply and demand. And of course, you're going to make money in the short term. But what I'm talking about is what do you want to do to make it sustainable for the longer term, and for me, that's what you want to look at. Now, there's a term in Chinese, and I think those watching, any of my friends who are Filipino Chinese, I know this term much better than I do, but it's called Wei Ji, right? Wei Ji means crisis, but it's two characters in Chinese, right? The first character is crisis, but the second one is opportunity. That means in crisis there is actually opportunity to be made, and
Mhm.
sometimes the best businesses have grown out of crisis. If you look at the 2008 U.S. economic crisis, what are the biggest businesses which emerged during that time? There were things like Pinterest, there were things like Groupon, there were things like Uber and Airbnb grew because they were cheaper alternatives to staying in a regular hotel, to taking a taxi, but they emerged from there. So what we're saying right now is you can be fast right now in doing something, but what are you doing to make sure that that business is sustainable? Like for me, I was looking at the model of what a cloud kitchen could be. Could a cloud kitchen be a more sustainable model for the longer term? So I understand, okay, I can be fast, but what is the way that I'm able to make this model sustainable? And this is one of the things that we realized, that why would you want to go to my cloud kitchen versus other people's cloud kitchens? Because first of all, David, for example, if you were to order from, let's say, David's Cloud Kitchen, for example, or Cloud Kitchen A, or the Mercato United Cloud Kitchen? Which cloud kitchen would you prefer to order from? Nako, you're not answering. That worries me.
A.
Which one? Would you rather order from Cloud Kitchen A or from Mercato Cloud Kitchen?
Now, but probably Mercato Cloud Kitchen, because I
Because
know the food is very, very delicious.
there's a brand name that has been built behind it, right? So
Correct.
that's one of the things we realized that we could capitalize on in terms of our brand name. But the second thing that we realized also, because we did business during the pandemic and we tried to do our own version of an online ordering, we realized that many people want to order our suki vendors, meaning the vendors who are popular in the market. But because originally in our old model was that when you were ordering from them, they were ordering from their specific homes, right? So they weren't really ordering from one venue, they were ordering from specific homes. So one place could be Quezon City, one place could be Parañaque. How can you get you get charged 2 times? You get charged 2 delivery costs. Pain point. But what if you could get all the top Mercato vendors from one place and order? You could order, let's say, 3 to 5 vendors, but only pay 1 delivery charge. Wouldn't that be more? Wouldn't that be better for you? And that's the concept of the cloud kitchen. And we thought that this could be a sustainable concept moving forward, that you get the top vendors to go into one place. And we thought it's good because now we can help even the small food vendors grow bigger, because many of them, it's very difficult to work out of your own homes to build a commissary kitchen, right? Where you have the support. Then you have to worry about who's going to deliver, who's going to take the order, how am I going to market this one? So, those are costs. Those are costs to you. But what if, okay, we take away that worry from you, so all you worry about is the food. Is deliver the food, good food, create good food. Shouldn't that be where they are right now? And that was what we thought about, So, you've got to be agile, but you've got to be smart about it at the same time and make sure that the concept is sustainable.
Okay, I totally get you. I mean, it's really like giving the power back to the chefs, just focusing on what they are best at and leaving the rest, or outsourcing basically the rest to professionals, right? I mean,
Exactly.
win-win situation right there. I have here a question. How much capital do you need in a burger business? RJ, do you have
I
any
wouldn't know
idea?
the capital. No, no, I can't tell you more of the capital, but this is the first thing again. Burger business, it's almost ubiquitous, right? It's all over the place. So unless you are able to stand out in a particular way, you have an excellent burger, it's hard to compete on cost of value for money. Very difficult, and that's already the game of Angel Burger. I mean, they've got that down pat because cost structure is quite there, no. But
Yeah.
then, but to excel in that it's difficult. It's for me, it's difficult unless you have a unique and innovative burger that you have. You might say it's a vegetarian burger, but I mean that it's a very niche market, right? And so it's hard to stand out or scale from there. The bigger thing that you always need to look at right now is really, and this is what I learned from doing Mercato Academy throughout the whole pandemic, is that what are your costs like, right? Usually 1/3 of your costs is food costs. Anything related to food is 1/3 of your cost. The other 1/3 are your utilities, your electricity, your labor, whatever else. And even if you do it at the house, you have to compute for that one, because that's 1/3, right? And the other 1/3 technically is your profit. That's what you have to take a look at always when you come up with food. It's a third again your food costs. That's ingredients and everything else, sauces, whatever you do. Packaging is there. A third is your utilities, corriente, water, labor. Is hopefully your profit. But sometimes that can get whittled out to maybe 25%. But then kawawa ka naman, di ba? But that's really it. So that's more what you look at.
Thank you, thank you very much, RJ. Another question, like, because I know also you're also the co-founder of Easy Franchise.
That's right.
So I just wanted to ask, like, in that perspective, what were like the franchise businesses that you see, have gained traction during the pandemic?
Yeah, that's a really great question, David. So just to tell you a bit more about Easy Franchise. Easy Franchise is our online platform that connects franchise owners, people who have franchises like Mr. Donut, Potato Corner, Phoenix LPG, Family Mart, Creamy Milk Tea, all these different franchisors to franchise investors, people who want to put up franchises. And in particular, many of our clients are actually OFW investors who are preparing exit plans. They want to make sure that when they come back here to the Philippines, that their money is making money. That it's not just nakatulog or nagastos na. So they want to put up businesses that also make money at the same time. And sort of like our unique selling point of Easy Franchise is not just our sort of like it's a one-stop shop where where you can apply online and all the applications are digitized, so it's much easier. You can compare and contrast versus different franchises. We have returns on investment. We have across industry where you can choose based on your budget. But more importantly, many of these overseas yeah, our OFWs our OFWs don't cannot manage it personally, and they also don't want to give that management to their relatives or their friends or their loved ones because usually it's not managed well if that's the case. So we have professional management services. So you can get a potato corner, and we can manage the potato corner for you. So you know that even while you're gone, you can it's managed very well. And in Easy Franchise, we work very closely with a good friend of yours, RK of RK Franchise Consultancy, to also help businesses who want to be able to to put into franchise form their businesses. If they want to start franchising their businesses, they can go to us and at RK and we work it out. Now, having said that, what have been the top franchises during this pandemic? The top franchises during this pandemic were what we call the essential franchises. You know, they were talking about essential goods, right? So there are also essential franchises which were very strong during the pandemic. What were they? Water refilling, laundry, because everybody was already working at home, so they had little time to do things like laundry, water refilling. People were buying box type convenience stores. So Family Mart already created box, smaller convenience store models that you could
Mm-hmm.
get because people want things because of the lockdown. People wanted these stores closer and closer to their barangays and to their communities. So they became very, very strong. So LPG also became very, very strong because people were cooking at home. So Phoenix LPG became very, very strong. Milk tea was very, very strong because they wanted it closer now to their communities as well. And we realized that many of them wanted this semblance when they would take milk tea. For them, it was sort of like an escape, a semblance of normalcy amidst these times. And that's what the reactions that we got from many of our milk tea franchisors. And food, especially particularly more of the full rice meal or complete meal franchises. Why them? Because you know what? People are already at home. Sometimes they don't want to stress about worrying about cooking the whole all the food at home. So it's prepared for them already.
Wonderful, wonderful. So yeah, everybody. Also, if you're looking to get a franchise, right? Check out Easy Franchise. Now we know which franchise business industries are thriving during the pandemic, and I'm very, very happy to see that all your businesses are transforming. That you also, as as a business owner, have adopted and embraced the digitalization and transformation now. And I'm just encouraging everybody else, to start embracing the technology, technological shift, right? The Internet of Things, right? And that there are many, many opportunities now that you might have not seen before.
That's
So,
right.
take a look really at your business, see what's around, talk to your customers also. Very, very important. Understand what their irritation points are. And I will tell you, you will find golden nuggets right there. And everybody will be thanking you for solving their problems and their pain points. RJ, I would
Exactly.
like to thank you. I would like to thank you again so much for being here and for sharing your insights, your knowledge, and your time. And I'm looking forward to seeing you very, very soon again.
Thank you so much. Before everything else, David, for those
Yeah.
small food entrepreneurs who would like to join Mercato Central, we are more than happy to welcome you to join us in any of our venues, particularly in BGC, SM Mall of Asia, very soon in Robinson's Ermita, and also SM Sky Ranch. Just get in touch with us on the Mercato Facebook page and let us know so we can schedule you for a taste test. At the same time, if you are a small food business looking to grow and you want to join our Mercato Cloud Kitchen, that's going to be a great place for you to also grow. And for all food businesses out there, even if you're based at home, you can be part of the Mercato app. All you have to do is just get in touch with us via the Mercato Facebook page. And for those of you who are looking for franchises, please visit our Easy Franchise Facebook page or easyfranchise.com.
All right. Thank you so much, RJ. Bye bye.
Thank you. God bless you, David. Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
So, thank you so much, everyone, for being here with us. And we'll take a short break and we will back in 10 minutes with knowing more about the co-working space and workspace solutions for your business. So stay tuned. Hello, everybody, and welcome back here to the Philippine SME Business Expo Virtual Edition. Yes, you heard me right. We are virtually and online, and we are very, very happy to connect you with businesses and provide you with lots of learning opportunities on how to navigate the new normal and not just only to survive, but to thrive. And today we have a very, very special guest with us, a very dear friend of mine who will teach us and will give us an overview on how it is like in the workspace trends and solutions for small and medium enterprises. And it's no other than Lars Wittig. He's the country manager of the Philippines, Vietnam, Cambodia, Thailand, as well as the VP of Sales in ASEAN in Thailand, South Korea of Regis and Spaces by IWG. So let's give him all a big virtual applause. Sir Lars Wittig. Hello, Lars.
Hello, David. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Excellent, thank you. Great to be back. Although it's tough that we have to meet like this. I've had so much fun since the early days at your SME convention. So anyway, we do our best.
I know I miss it so much, Lars. I think like anyone that is in the face-to-face business industry and who just lives by networking, by meeting other people, and I mean especially in the Philippines where we are so highly social, where we love the energy from one another, right? It's a tough time, it's a challenging time, but that's the thing now. Like I think after now looking at it for 11, 12 months, we have to face the reality that things are changing and that we have to adopt with technology as well. And I know that you have some great surprises also for us because I've seen you also pivoted a little bit, huh? So, Lars, my first question. I see that you're in one of your offices. Wonderful. I miss spaces so much. I can see the design. It's really a great feeling to be in your offices. I like the modern designs, the feeling, the fun memories, the fun times, the people that you meet. I mean, it's a place not just for work, but it's basically a place to meet with people, to engage, to exchange ideas. And, especially as an entrepreneur, that's the essence of how to create businesses. So with that in mind, I mean, you are one of the largest office provider here in the Philippines. And I always been a big fan because you're always a supporter of startups, of entrepreneurship, of innovation. You were always very in the forefront. So my question is like, how has your industry pivoted in the last 11 months, and what actions have you taken also to assist the businesses, specifically your clients that have been with us, like in Spaces, for example? Can you share a little bit your experience?
Yeah, let me start by saying, first of all, everybody have hit exactly the same wall when it all started in March last year. Unlike my colleagues in the industry, then we have sort of seen this film before. What do I mean? Well, not only me as a proud baby boomer who also lived here in the Philippines and worked here for another company, though, the Coca-Cola company, when the Asian crisis hit. But actually, IWG came to the Philippines in the midst of the Asian crisis. We opened our very first business center, serviced office space, in 1998 at the Enterprise Center. At that time, there were only 3 tenants in those 2 towers on Ayala Avenue. The rest of the 2 towers, 85,000 square meters, were vacant. Back in those days, it was very typical. We almost only catered to startup companies, and we served, and it's interesting story to consider now in the middle of this situation, because we served as an incubator, especially for foreign investors and local entrepreneurs alike. It is generally so expensive, costly to get into a regular office lease. You have to sign up for many years. You're fixed, locked into the same space, and you have to make a capital investment. If you are an investor from abroad and things are not looking too bright yet in the local economy, on the demand side, you might also hold back unless there is a way to make sort of a touchdown and test the waters and that you can do with flexible workspace as a service. So therefore, now that we are in this situation where people can barely go to the office, and even if they can, they might not want to go to at least their traditional workplace. We see a huge shift in the way that people and companies avail of our offices. As you also mentioned, we are the largest in the Philippines with nearly 30 locations. We have also pioneered the business outside Metro Manila into Clark and Cebu and Davao. And we are expanding in those markets. I just got off a call yesterday with Davao, where we're opening a third location, while one of our colleagues in the industry who entered later than us actually just sadly had to close down in Davao. So it's a lot of headwind for us as a business, but if you look at the demand and the nature of the demand, it is very encouraging, because the landscape of workspace and offices is radically changing, and is changing for good. We are welcoming more new customers now than we did pre-COVID, but in general, they sign up for less space, and they tend to, if it is a bigger company, they tend to distribute their employees, the so-called hybrid working. So they might, if they already have an office in, say, Makati or BGC or Ortigas, if they have a big conventional office space, they're now kicking themselves that they didn't go flexible earlier. As soon as they are up for renewal, they're going to cut dramatically in the amount of space that they have today in the traditional office. And instead, they take offices with us as office hubs. It could be one in Alabang, one in somewhere in Quezon City, and then maybe one in Manila or Pasay City. So that way, their employees can either go to those office hubs, or they can go to the traditional workplace location, or thanks to a membership, they can go to one of our many other locations throughout Metro Manila, or even nationwide or worldwide. One good example, and I know you are the captain on this ship called SMEs, but let me just mention one very big company, which is certainly not an SME, but Standard Chartered Bank. They have just signed up with us for 95,000 memberships. So they've told 95,000 of their employees, whenever, wherever you go to work at IWG, so Regis, Spaces, HQ, whatever brand, they have 3,500 locations in 120 countries, including the Philippines. And that is, now we get back to the fun of co-working, right? Because you have the old stuffy baby boomer like me wearing a necktie, you have the executive there from Standard Chartered, and then you have the millennial in his or her jeans, and we are all benefiting from interacting with each other.
Lars, will we see a Spaces office somewhere near the beach? I think like there's a major shift also, where everybody would just love to work from the beach.
Actually, you mentioned that I am country manager for Thailand. In Phuket, we actually even have a Regis Center at a marina. So and eventually that will happen too, because we, even pre-COVID, we couldn't quite define any longer when are we at work and when are we not at work. The work-life balance, sort of that line that separates, that disappeared, which I thought is great, because it just makes life so much more gratifying. You talked earlier about the networking part and so on. I mean, when are we networking just for the casual part of it? Like, I'm a member of a car club. We only talk cars, we never talk business. There's a lot of people I do business with in that club. So, I mean, of course, it has a positive spillover effect if we Monday have a business meeting, but we keep the two things separate. But I mean, come on, we are all people, and it all comes down to not just know how, but also know who. And the playing and the working field, it is all the same today, I think.
I mean, I like how you embrace the generational let's say gaps, but that they are basically coming all together in your offices. And I think there's one very important thing that you mentioned also is that the flexibility actually, because things are getting decentralized, right? Because not all your staff, even though before your office was in one location, but all your staff was coming from different areas, and that's is of course challenging in terms of operation. But if people can actually go into the different office spaces, they can be working more focused. I loved your video message that you have sent where you were saying, well, it can be pretty tough to share your internet, with your with your children and so forth. And then a rooster can also come up in the back as a sound effect, or the dog is barking, which I'm pretty sure it describes the reality of many, many, many people
Yep.
here. So
And then
even
suddenly the roosters competing with the Tahoe salesman casually passing by.
correct. And I think we had a very interesting discussion this morning where it was about how technology companies can innovate small and medium-sized enterprises. And the one thing that we all had in common is the basic internet. That is still a big issue here. It's especially now where everybody is online, and we see like an exponential growth of the usage of internet. It's becoming so competitive and so hard to get good signal now that that will still take some time. And I know that your offices always.
Of course, we are bound to have the state of the art when it comes to connectivity. And yes, in the homes, the residences,
have the fastest ones. So
yeah, we need to have the fastest ones. We are competing at home with our spouses. One might be on MS Teams while the other one is on Zoom, while the children are doing homeschooling or on Netflix or gaming. Everything is online, and we are competing about the same speed. And we are disturbing each other, as we were joking about before, but it is the reality. And the sad part is, if we are so lucky that we are not being disturbed, it is actually because we are sitting getting lonely. So we do want to get out. We do want to get away from the home. So actually, also what our research pre-COVID-19 shows, the question was, what do you like the least about your job? People would typically answer, especially in the Philippines, the commute. If we ask them whether they would prefer to have the option to work from home, the answer is always a very strong yes. But when we ask into that yes, what is really behind it? Reality is people want to have the flexibility to work near home. So to get some professional workspace, but also for interaction near home, but outside the home itself. And according to my wife, spouses can be very noisy too. David, is it your connection or mine that is sort of like choppy, because you are frozen in my screen right now?
Lars, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Is it your connection or my connection that is a little bit?
It's not your connection, Lars. That's for sure. That's why I can relate so well to your video. I just recently moved out of Manila into Laguna, so I know.
Okay.
I have one question, Lars, because of course, we for example, we in since we're an events company, we were hit pretty hard, and we decided to work from home. We gave up our office. I actually talked to Trisha before, because I was looking into actually joining Regis and Spaces, but then me moving basically into the province, we just stayed in touch. But I went there. My question is this: as a lot of business, their office spaces nowadays, because they just don't know when it will go back to normal. But we see also the economic downturn in a lot of foreign countries. Is there a major influx now of requirements coming from abroad of them coming here and outsourcing basically their business here in the Philippines, which then requires again office space.
Yes, we do see a big influx, and we do see key accounts, enterprise accounts. So that's global companies that are looking for flexible solutions only because of the unpredictability. I mean, everything was unpredictable anyway. The trend was pre-COVID already to go flexible because the speed of change was so rapid, and the workspace revolution, starting with the millennials, was I want to work whenever and wherever I like. I don't want to be measured by a timesheet, etc. Now the employers, they are embracing all of that and much more because they don't dare to log on to anything. So whatever they can back out of that is a long-term liability and give them flexibility here now, they go with that. And obviously that is exactly what we are about also.
Lars, another question is because I know that you always had your own community events as well. I mean, you are also one of those organizations that networks highly with associations, with different business groups. What is Spaces doing in there to help the community, you know, in the associations? Do you have any programs currently running where people can also maybe be part of?
Our programs are, well, nothing compared to what we had before. And the togetherness was really very important because we would have non-stop events on all subjects, right? It could be an accountant talking about the new tax reform. It could be an NGO talking about street children, etc. And everybody would attend. Why? Because it would also be an icebreaker so that we all could speak and learn from each other afterwards. And it is just not the same sitting here talking to a computer. And all those people who, hopefully all those people who are listening to us right now, I mean, how much are they going to interact and network across? It can never be the same. So what I can offer now is the flexibility, the access, the connectability, the address, you know, your profiling outside, your business registrations, all of these things, what I can offer to the bigger companies. And we see it now. I mean, some locations, say in old Manila, would have a certain type of clients, and they would typically be like, say, manpower for cruise ships. Now I get the FMCGs, Fortune 500 companies that are typically would never have an office outside Makati or BGC. Now suddenly they also want to have satellite offices in those locations. And that is what is very much making the wheels turn right now. But across the region, across ASEAN, as you mentioned, I'm regional now, but of course, solidly based in the Philippines for good. Across the region, we do see more and more enterprise deals coming across. And that is, of course, excellent. And it's excellent for the SMEs and, you know, the startup companies, because when we can physically get back in our community-driven co-working models, there's so much more that so many more we can rub shoulders with, that we can learn from across the industries, but also, of course, age groups. Because going back to my good old doctrines that are more relevant than ever, if I want to avoid being obsolete very soon, I need to reinvent and learn all along. And things are changing very rapidly, and even more so now, thanks to COVID-19. So that's a good thing. I love change. But in order to keep up, I need to learn from the smartest with the newest knowledge. And they are not found in my age group. They're not. It's Generation Z. It is the millennials. I need to learn from them because they have the latest knowledge, and I don't have the luxury of going back on the school bench. And right now, we're not even doing so anyway. So I need to learn from those guys, just like they are very much looking to us baby boomers. Suddenly, it's not a word being used to make fun of my generation. My children used to call me boomer dad and so on, right? Now suddenly it is a good thing because everybody feel very uncertain for all the right reasons amid COVID-19, and they know we have tried this before. We are not exactly due to a virus, but we have tried so many crises before. And out here, the Asian crisis, when I lived in Manila and worked for the Coca-Cola company, 98, 99, wow, that was tough. And the peso, which has barely changed, has changed 4% or so relative to the US dollar. Back then, it changed 50% or doubled up. You can also say it changed 200%. It went from 25 pesos to the dollar to over 50 pesos to the dollar, right? It was extreme times, and the country was suffering in a whole different way because we didn't have any US dollar reserves back then that we do now. So we have entered this crisis. Considering that the crisis hit, it could not have hit the Philippines at a better timing. We are in a much better position than we ever would have been in order to fight these times, fight back. But everything has a limit, and of course, many things and many businesses and jobs have broken down so far. And unfortunately, we're not seeing the end of the road either.
Okay, but I think compared to what we see happening in the world, specifically in Europe, right? I mean, we have much more freedom, I would say, now than over there, where they're currently still in an extreme lockdown right now. So everybody was. I remember still by the end of last year, everybody was looking up to Europe, like, oh, they're already open, they can do this and this and that. Why is it still so strict here? And now it's the other way around. Yeah. So I still consider us somehow in that case lucky. I want to know from you, Lars. So has your company pivoted? Because I think I saw something virtual office space or virtual meetups. Do you work on any programs in there, in regions or in spaces?
Right now, I don't have anything on my schedule here in the Philippines, but I bet you have seen it, and it is being done here and there. We are generally doing all of our hours in connection with, in cooperation with many other organizations like your good self right now, for example, but also with the various chambers. The Nordic Chamber is holding offices with us, and we are planning on events with them, etc. So, and I myself is on the board of directors of the European Chamber, which is the largest and oldest European chamber outside Europe. So we do contribute and make sure to invite our members to these many different fora.
Okay, Lars, then I'm offering, let's do something together. Let's do more virtual events together, right? And connect all the innovative minds together, so that as we are opening up the economy, and as people will be able to travel more as well, and to go back into the offices, that we can empower them already beforehand. Thank you so much, Lars, for being with us. I would just like to invite everybody again, if you're looking for flexible office space, if you're a company that where your employees are in different areas and they need a place where they can work, where they can do focused work, where they can be efficient, where they can have a certain amount of privacy also, which is so important nowadays, right? And where people can actually have a breath from home and go to a peaceful place to work. Please get in touch. Please get in touch with Regis or with Spaces. They're one of our gold sponsors at this exhibition. So you can visit them at the exhibitor section, either on the Wova app, on their mobile app, or on their web app. And they're very happy and excited to meet with you and to answer all your questions for the next 2 days. Lars, thank you so much again. Have a wonderful day and see you soon.
You too. Yeah, I hope so, David. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
So this is it for today, everybody. And yeah, I hope you were able to learn something. I hope you learned some new innovations. Knowing also that there are flexible office spaces available for you where you can work at, whether you're an entrepreneur or you're a business owner that likes to send their staff into different spaces where they can work. There are many solutions in our exhibitions that you can visit. I hope to see you again tomorrow. We'll be starting at 10 a.m. in the morning, and I'm very excited to see you because we have a lot of guests with us and a lot of new informations that will help you not just to survive but to thrive in the new normal. See you tomorrow, everyone.